On February 2nd, 2025, a blockbuster trade between the Dallas Mavericks and Los Angeles Lakers took place, altering the landscape of the NBA completely. Dallas's franchise superstar Luka Doncic was shockingly shipped to Los Angeles in exchange for the ultra-talented Anthony Davis, a deal forever changing the NBA. Mavericks fans were outraged by the deal for obvious reasons. Then, to make matters worse, Anthony Davis would get injured in his first game, Kyrie Irving tore his ACL, and a year after making the NBA Finals, the Dallas Mavericks didn't even make the playoffs. Everything that could have went wrong did for the Dallas Mavericks until the draft lottery. At the draft lottery, Dallas went home with the first overall pick where they selected Cooper Flagg. Now Dallas is optimistic about the 2026 season, as Kyrie Irving comes back mid-season, Anthony Davis is healthy and playing his ideal position, Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively are elite, Klay Thompson is still good, they made many moves in the offseason to better themselves. The question though still remains, is the hype of the Dallas Mavericks even warranted? The team is still flawed, and as a Dallas Mavericks hype man, I can make an argument to say the 2026 Dallas Mavericks squad is honestly overrated, and we need to caution our hype about this team. I'm going to be listing enough problems about the Dallas Mavericks to a point where this video may come off as negative. However, I want to be as positive on my channel, for the most part at least, as possible. No matter how bad the problems the Mavericks may run into are, the team's depth is elite and will be problematic for many teams to deal with. They have the strength and size to dominate teams defensively, and will have by far one of, if not the best interior defense in the NBA. Three shot-blocking giants in Anthony Davis, Daniel Gafford, and Derek Lively, with forwards in PJ Washington, Najee Marshall, and company who can guard on the perimeter and in the interior. I expect them to have many low-scoring games, as people scoring on Dallas is going to be extremely difficult. But problem number one I have in Dallas is that they cannot score right now. What I mean by that is the team cannot shoot. The floor spacing absolutely sucks for the Mavericks on paper right now. The starting lineup appears to be D'Lo, Klay, Flagg, AD, and Gafford headed into 2026. Flagg and AD are way below average shooters. Gafford doesn't even attempt threes, while D'Lo and Klay can shoot the three at a high clip. However, they are two of the most irritatingly inconsistent players from three in the NBA. Shooting on the bench isn't any better, and knowing that, you are left with a team that has no spacing whatsoever, which has been problematic for many reasons, and for many teams that are limited in this regard, which does worry me about the Dallas Mavericks. Shooting was one of the things Dallas thrived on when they took down OKC, Minnesota, LA in the playoffs in 2024. It also was why Luka and Kyrie were so unstoppable as a duo, considering that teams would need to bring the house to stop those two, and with them being the elite playmakers they are, it allowed for Dallas to get threes up and knock them down. Shooting pushed the Mavericks to their best. Now with players who will thrive on scoring in the post or interior, this lack of shooting is worrisome. Anthony Davis can be double teamed easier, limiting his damage in the post. Cooper Flagg is still a raw talent, but if you watched his film in Duke, he has been turnover prone, which happened more often when he played with a lack of spacing. Dallas not having shooting around him in a congested interior could make Flagg's weaknesses exposed and enhance them to where he personally could have difficulties in his rookie season due to how Dallas is constructed. With that being said, Cooper Flagg being so young as a rookie who isn't even 19 yet, having the experience around him that he does will help him moving forward. Looking at it right now, you have veterans in Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, Daniel Gafford, Najee Marshall, D'Lo, Klay Thompson, and PJ Washington even. The makeup of experienced players on this roster is only going to lift Flagg in his first year. Three of those veterans are going to be extremely impactful to Flagg, as Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, and Klay Thompson aren't just veterans, rather the team's best players. Unfortunately for the team, as good as those three have shown themselves to be, Kyrie is 33 and injury prone, AD is 32 and injury prone, and Klay is 35 and you guessed it, injury prone. Now Dallas may be on the younger side of things outside of a few players including those three, but that does not excuse them from the issues they had last season with health. Dallas as constructed right now is full of players who are injury prone no matter what age they are. It is the most consistent thing with the roster outside of them not having great shooting. Now, as I said, the team has elite depth top to bottom, but the depth vanishes when people are out due to injury, which was commonly shown last year in Dallas's demise. If trends stay the same, Dallas will lose one of their strengths simply due to the roster makeup. Already without Kyrie for at least the first half of the 2026 season, adding the absence of anyone else to that mix will prove to weigh large for the team. Not everything is aligning for this Mavericks team the way the media has made it out to be though. Additions are great, but the roster's limitations are still extremely visible. There's a strong possibility that the team needs to make a move at the deadline this year due to certain struggles. However, the amount of money they are giving players will make deals nearly impossible, as the players getting money are not worth the money they receive. PJ Washington, for example, is getting a bag, and we all love PJ, but can we really sit here and say he's worth $22.5 million a year? I mean, he could even get more than that, too. He's not worth it, especially when you already have a logjam at his position. I'm telling you all now, if a deal is needed to be made by the Mavericks, it is going to be a deal surrounding PJ Washington, but it could loom large if they pay him what the rumors say he will be making, as no one wants to take on 4 years of PJ Washington making $22 million a year as a contender in the second apron era, as he simply is not as good as that money would entail. As for rebuilding teams, they would stay away from him too, as he is not the veteran presence you want around your young players you are trying to develop. Financially, as much as I love PJ Washington, Dallas is cooked if they give him the deal he is expected to get. They need to make more trades and adjustments to the roster if they truly want to compete in this year's West. Right now, they don't have movable contracts for trades, which they would need considering they have no expendable draft capital. Head to head, I do not believe Dallas can truly compete with OKC. Denver is debatable given how the Twin Towers seem to be Jokic's kryptonite, and Houston is much better in my eyes, top to bottom, considering how Dallas does not have the offensive capabilities to play successfully against the stifling Houston defense, nor the Thunders, and they cannot compete with the offense Denver has. This is if everything goes as planned though for the Mavericks. I mean, sure, they could beat the Rockets, they could beat the Nuggets, I would not say they'd beat the Thunder, but that's with everything going as planned, meaning they weathered the storm during Kyrie's absence. AD stays healthy, Cooper Flagg is the rookie he's been hyped up to be, the defense is as elite as expected, and Klay Thompson shoots the ball at a high clip. If those things don't happen, then Dallas is still in the same conversation as the Lakers, Clippers, Timberwolves, and Warriors, which they haven't been. Everybody's been putting them with the Rockets, Nuggets, and Thunder, which they don't even belong there, for being honest right now. Dallas isn't guaranteed to be healthy or even a top-tier team, as we just saw what happens when injuries occur to them. Teams are rising right now in the West too, like the Spurs, Trailblazers. We don't know how the Suns are going to look, Grizzlies too, and you have so many teams fighting for the top 6 seeds and even more competition for the top 10. Some may not be worried about the Mavericks considering the talent on the roster, but my goodness, there should be at least some concern about this team headed into 2026. Nothing is guaranteed. Who knows? If the team starts poorly during the season, the team could shift the focus directly towards the future. They have valuable players that would give them assets on assets in return. Anthony Davis would have a massive market, Kyrie is an intriguing name, Daniel Gafford already is being looked at highly, Klay could be targeted, and PJ Washington too if he doesn't sign too big of a deal this offseason, all could be shipped at the deadline for a future focused approach. So when predicting Dallas to finish top 4 in the conference, even top 6, proceed with caution. They are vulnerable and are extremely volatile given how much of a wild card their management is. Right now, I'd expect them to finish as the 6th seed in the West if they don't have a fire sale at the deadline. But again, who knows what this team does at the deadline? I doubt they will even have a plan until they just decide to do whatever, since there is no way they were thinking about trading Luka for that long before they actually pulled the trigger and traded him. Let me know your thoughts on the 2026 Dallas Mavericks team, as despite loving Kyrie and Anthony Davis, I do have them a lot lower than many do right now. If you want to know my thoughts on the New York Knicks, well, I believe something is happening with them in the East, so find out more by clicking on the video on the screen. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Y'all stay safe. Have a good one. Bye.